Welcome to Power Players, the show that takes you inside the boardroom with the CEOs, visionaries, and deal makers shaping the future of business. From behind closed-door strategy to billion-dollar moves, we break it all down. The aviation industry is under growing pressure to decarbonize, and while progress has been incremental, airlines are experimenting with new aircraft technologies, flight path innovations, and sustainable aviation fuels to reduce emissions. Delta has centered its sustainability agenda around what we fly, how we fly, and the fuel we use, with near-term goals and aggressive fuel efficiency targets across its operations. The company's Cross-Enterprise Carbon Council has already delivered major operational fuel savings, while efforts to electrify ground support equipment and eliminate single-use plastics are moving forward. Cheddar recently spoke to Amelia DeLuca, Chief Sustainability Officer at Delta Airlines, at the Fast Company Innovation Festival to learn more.
With a 17-year career at Delta Airlines, pushing the boundaries of operational innovation, we're joined now with Amelia DeLuca, who leads the airline's journey to net zero emissions by 2050. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And we have a few questions for you. First of all, we want to know, can you describe for us the key milestones that Delta has set on the path to net zero by 2050, and also how your role drives those objectives?
Yep, absolutely. Well, just quickly, 90% of our footprint on the planet comes from jet fuel. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about the jet fuel milestones. But broadly, it's in 3 phases. Do what you can do today to save jet fuel and how you operate. The second phase is innovate the conventional jet fuel space to move into a biofuel space that has less carbon emissions per gallon of jet fuel. And then the third one is to look towards revolutionary fleet technology to bring the aircraft of the future that also uses less jet fuel.
And all of that, makes sense. We want to know what specific operational changes Delta has implemented recently to improve fuel efficiency, reduce emissions, and where you've had the biggest gains in that, because obviously that's a big goal with a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, well, it's actually been a fantastic year for us. 2025 was our first year that we had a climate target. So it was our short-term climate target, and it was to save 45 million gallons of jet fuel from our operational efficiencies. We're on track to actually save 60 million by the end of the year, $150 million. So good for business, good for the planet. And we've done it through a number of ways. One, any weight you can get off the aircraft just immediately saves on jet fuel. And so we always want to make sure all of our customers have their drink of choice, but we don't want to over provision. So we've been using AI camera technology to better provision on board. A second thing is when you cool the aircraft at the gate, you can do it with a really inefficient small engine on the back of the plane, or you can look towards ground power, and all of our airport partners now are providing really adequate ground power, often from renewable sources. So that's a better way to cool the aircraft and use less jet fuel. And then finally, when you're in the air, just like when you're in your car, right, the more direct you can go with the right speed, you can save a lot of fuel. And so again, we're looking towards the automotive industry. We're looking and leveraging AI technology to save jet fuel every day.
That's amazing. That's so many different efforts you guys are doing. What do you think sets Delta apart from all the other airlines when it comes to sustainability?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say that all of those major milestones were because of the 100,000 people that work at Delta. So my team is a small team. We sit at the nexus, try to make sure that our teams have what they need to be successful. But then every single day, our team sets out to provide an on-time premium experience and a sustainable experience. And so whether it is on board through our new paper cups, or again, how we are operating as fuel efficiently as possible. It's the 100,000 people at Delta that have brought us. This is our centennial year, so we're celebrating 100 years with our 100,000 employees, and we look forward to 100 years to come.
That's awesome. And how do you balance the pressure of trying to achieve all of these goals when you also have costs, regulation, customer demands in such a kind of industry that's heavy like aviation?
Yeah. I think the thing is you have to remind yourself as a company what's our value set. And so for Delta, it's always been, if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of our customers, they'll take care of the bottom line. We know that the people we care about, both employees and customers, care about this topic. So one, it's an expectation now. Any premium brand is also expected to be sustainable. It's that and. It's not the or, it's the and. That's the first. The second thing is it's good for business, right? What we're doing is saving money to Delta's bottom line every single day. And then I think the third part, which has been our motto this year, is just control what you can control, right? We're not going to solve this existential crisis overnight, but every single day we want to make sure we're making progress in a way that makes us feel proud as a company.
And you've talked about some of these innovations, you've talked about AI, some of the other things that you're doing. What are some of the other innovations that you guys are looking at, like SAF, sustainable aviation fuel,
Yep.
hydrogen, electric aviation, and how can Delta kind of work on those and scale that up?
Yep, absolutely. So a couple of things I will just mention. Innovation takes all kinds of forms, some things you may not think about. So for example, last year we took our first delivery of sustainable aviation fuel out of the state of Minnesota, and it was actually created using a novel crop in Minnesota that has 80% less emissions when you look at the life cycle. So very exciting innovation through our farmers, through rural America. Innovation also takes the form of working with startups who are trying to create the aircraft of the future that also will use less jet fuel through that process, as well as offer a better customer experience. And so those partnerships, like I said, they go from rural farmers to startups in California, and we're looking at all those partnerships to help us move forward.
And when you think about trying to reduce waste, you've talked a little bit about using AI cameras on board, things like that. When it comes to ground operations, other supply chain factors, what kind of things are you looking at there, and what challenges are you facing trying to implement those?
You know, I think it probably goes without saying that every airport is different. So we always say that if you've seen one airport, you've seen one airport. And so I think the thing is, when you talk about waste on board, we're essentially trying to, one, make sure that the product that our customers see feels sustainable. So this year we rolled out paper cups across our aircraft, which is amazing. And now it's a matter to make sure we can change our operational procedures, leveraging our airport partnerships to make sure you can always recycle that, for example. But like I said, a big one is things that are already happening through our system. So if you're traveling on us potentially in a premium cabin or internationally, we'll ask you to pre-select your meal. That is a great customer experience moment. That also helps us to reduce waste, because then we don't have to pack extra meals on board. So again, we're doing waste through a lot of also customer experience lenses, and it's seen a lot of success.
What do you think when it comes to your role, so Chief Sustainability Officer, how has that evolved with all of this kind of continued focus on sustainability?
I mean, I am very lucky to have the job I have. I'm very honored and humbled. I think the biggest thing, though, is there's 100,000 people at Delta that have to deliver on this huge mission. It's not me. Again, I have a team of about 20 people, and we can come up with the ideas, but then we have to put it within this complex operation. And so we've been so grateful that across the company, we have had just wonderful partners who go out of their way, even though they have heavy workloads, to say, hey, we believe in this too. We believe in this technology, this idea, this, you name it, business case, and they've helped us to be able to shore it up and figure out how we move it forward. And so couldn't do it without 100,000 people, and I'm just lucky to have the title, but the work and credit goes to the rest of Delta.
Well, that's great. It's so nice that it can be a collaborative effort
100%,
on all of that.
100%.
And when you look forward to 2026 and beyond, what do you think is next for Delta when it comes to sustainability? We've talked a lot about individual initiatives, but what do you kind of feel is the overall message for what you see for Delta moving forward?
I think it's a steady drumbeat of we're doing everything that we can today, so that continue to build trust, to build brand power through this concept of, if we can do it, we will do it. We're not going to wait. Things, again, like the paper cup are such a great example of that. Bring your customers along, keep that corporate trust, but then continue to inspire through innovation. So continuing to find things like this concept of formation flying that right now is in research mode. But if you fly across the transatlantic with aircraft paired together, you can use 5 to 10% less jet fuel. Those are just innovations, but our goal is to move them into applied innovation in the near term.
And is there anything else that you want to add when it comes to the future of aviation overall in terms of sustainability? Like what you just mentioned is a great example of that. But anything else where you're kind of looking and hoping towards the future to see kind of in the overall space of aviation?
Look, there's some really cool startups. Many of them are here with us today at Fast Company Innovation Festival, who are really trying to rethink the aircraft of the future. And I am really excited. It may not fly when I'm even in my career anymore, but if I can look back and say that I allowed it to get started by bringing them into the Delta family, lending them our operational expertise, and kind of saying, we want this aircraft to fly just as much as you do, that to me is something that will make me feel very proud one day.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything we haven't touched on that?
No, this was great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much. It was so nice to have you on here, and we look forward to seeing what you guys come up with next.
Great. Thank you.
So much.
Thanks, Justine.
The sports and health sectors are increasingly intersecting as franchises look beyond the court to deliver holistic value to athletes and fans. The Charlotte Hornets recently announced a new multi-year jersey patch partnership with Judy Health, a health technology company focused on modernizing health benefits, marking a bold step into wellness alignment and brand synergy. The deal not only brings visibility to Judy Health via the Hornets game day uniforms, but also provides a platform for expanded health initiatives across the fan base and local community. We recently sat down with Shelly Cayette-Weston, President of Business Operations for the NBA Charlotte Hornets, to discuss the partnership and much more. Shelly Cayette-Weston is the President of Business Operations for the one and only Charlotte Hornets of the National Basketball Association. And I am so excited to say Shelly joins us here for a huge day at the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks a lot for taking the time this morning. It is great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Let's start first and foremost with what brings you and the Charlotte Hornets organization down here onto the trading floor alongside the great team with Judy Health.
Well, we are so excited to be here today. There's a lot of energy and going on. We have, first of all, I would say a tremendous amount of growth and momentum going on with the Charlotte Hornets right now. We have ambitious new owners, ownership group with Rick Small and Gabe Plotkin that have set out a clear vision to be a premier NBA franchise. And with all of that, it takes momentum, right? And so we are excited today to announce a multi-year partnership with Judy Health, which you see here on the jersey in front of us. And so they are a line partner, and we're looking forward to a long future together.
Absolutely. I mean, the era of jersey sponsorships is clearly here, not just for the association, but for every major sports league. And it's something that fans are getting more accustomed with. And I got to shout you out because you do what I think fans really like, which is even the color scheme for Judy Health. It really closely matches what your organization has. And I think that's a point of frustration for some fans when their sports team throws a sponsor on and it clashes. So, but even the design, talk to me about what this kind of looked like creatively to actually bring this division and this exciting product now.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. You know, a Jersey Patch partner is one of those partnerships that really, organizations and franchises hold close to the vest. This is a conversation that started with ownership that we had with Jeff Peterson, our president of basketball operations, and our basketball operations team, because it's going to live on the heart of who we are, right? Our every single game, all year long, it's with us. And so we wanted to make sure there was alignment. And based on the colors that you see and just how things fell with this partnership, everything was just perfectly aligned. Not only the colorway and how it looks on the jersey, but more importantly, the people behind the organization, AJ and his entire team, the values that they stand for, and just the fact that they're an innovative, driven organization and company. So there was so much alignment, and most importantly, we both are focused on the customer, on the fan. We really are striving to elevate our customer journey and experience. They're looking to change the game with their customers and how people access benefits in the medical industry. And so we're excited about this partnership and alignment.
Charlotte is such an incredible city, a beautiful community of basketball fans and so many others in and around. What do you most hope and what are your expectations with regards to Judy Health and other partners that the organization has in its orbit in terms of what they mean, their placement, their relationship with the fans, game in and game out?
Well, you said it best. You just talked about the history of Charlotte. And the truth is that the Carolinas has a deep-rooted history of basketball and passionate basketball. Once early in the 80s when the team first came in late 90s, the Charlotte Hornets were actually the leading attendance leader in the NBA for consecutive years. With Del Curry, Muggsy Bogues, again, Larry Johnson. I mean, it's got a deep history. Also a history of pinstripe jerseys, which no other team did. The colorway of teal and purple. So it's got a deep history of innovation and being unique, but just of passionate fans in the Carolinas that love basketball. And so we're excited, I think, together of how we're going to touch our customers, how we're going to reach, again, everybody wants to put the jersey on, so that's an important part of every fan, as you mentioned earlier, so it looks great. That's a first step. And more importantly, we want our fans in the Carolinas and throughout the country to feel proud of our organization and of the Charlotte Hornets.
I had that Larry Johnson poster in this jersey when I was a kid. It was so iconic. And you also talk about just the Carolinas, and you got another great brand there on the front of the jersey as well, Jordan. What does that mean, to you? And I look down, and the Judy Health partnership is incredibly exciting, but there's another iconic logo also on the front of your jersey.
I mean, it really just reaffirms what basketball means in the Carolinas, right? It's really rooted there. It's connected there. There's so much connective tissue. But even more importantly, a part of the reason that Judy Health is so focused on Charlotte is because it's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. So over 150 people move there every single day. It was just rated by CNBC the #1 place to do business business for the second year in the row because of its infrastructure, industry in the region, and it has great talent. And so those are all things that align with Judy and why they committed today that they're interested in moving one of their offices to Charlotte also.
Yeah, Shelly, tell me a bit more about your own role with the organization already, how it's evolved since your time there, and some of your top priorities.
We have a few priorities. So we are actually going to open a brand new $245 million renovation of Spectrum Center on October 19th with Billie Eilish. And so, opening a building is a big priority in itself. We get to celebrate this year 20 years of Spectrum Center. So we opened the building October 21st, 20 years ago with Rolling Stones. And so we're not just basketball, but we're entertainment, right? And connect to wider audiences also. So a lot of excitement there. The other practice facility project that I mentioned to you with Novant Health Performance Center, that's in the ground. We're going to open that in March 2027. So we've got to make sure that's underway. So that's a priority. And then again, first and foremost, is really just elevating our fan experience. As we open the building, it's not just about paint and the walls and the amazing things that you're going to see, but it's about how the customer feels in their experience when they come in, and how are we creating unforgettable experiences for our fans every single day. And so that's really our priority.
The jerseys look absolutely awesome. Congratulations on the new partnership with Judy Health. It's great to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Rising rent and real estate prices continue to challenge residents in Atlanta and across the U.S., putting pressure on cities to find sustainable solutions. Leadership in the Georgia Capitol continues to perfect a roadmap for affordable housing aimed at increasing access and equity in one of the nation's fastest-growing metro areas. A key part of the strategy includes innovative public-private partnerships, including a new approach to grocery access that blends public and private resources to serve underserved communities. We recently spoke with Atlanta's Mayor Andre Dickens, and he outlined how thoughtful urban planning can drive affordability, stability, and opportunity. The great city of Atlanta just reported the biggest rent price drop among major U.S. metro areas, down more than 13% from peak levels in 2021. This as the city is pushing hard to build more affordable housing, and here to talk all about Atlanta's ongoing housing strategy, as well as the city's public-private partnerships, including new grocery store, is the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens. Mr. Mayor, it is great to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to the talk.
So for any of our viewers just learning about some of those pretty eye-popping housing statistics for the city, how big of a deal would you say is Atlanta's rent drop compared to other U.S. cities? What are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, it's been a goal of ours to build or preserve affordable housing across the city of Atlanta. When I started as mayor almost 4 years ago, I made a goal of starting with 20,000 units of affordable housing between 2022 when I started and 2030. And we're already beyond halfway by building or under construction 12,000 units already. So we're doing a lot of affordable housing development, doing it rapidly. That's also creating more housing stock in general, along with all of the other, market rate housing. A lot of luxury apartments and condos have been built also during this time. So we've been doing a lot of construction in general. But what's happened at the top end, the luxury stuff hasn't been renting as much over the last year or so. And that's been making sure that, okay, those landlords have to bring prices down a little bit in order to make it work. And so with the combination of my affordable and my team building all this affordable housing and the stock of luxury, we've seen prices go down in the city this year.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you and your team, you have lots of data points week by week, month over month that you scour through to help you better separate signal from noise. What gives you confidence that the progress you've seen is more than simply temporary relief, that these are actual signs of lasting affordability changes?
Yeah, we really hope that they're lasting. Atlanta can become a victim of our own success. The city has been growing so much. So many businesses are choosing us. People are moving to the Southeast and particularly Atlanta. Every single month, we get new people coming here and new businesses starting here. So it's great, but that produces a housing shortage. So we have to keep up with that demand. And I'm confident that we will continue to build a lot of affordable housing during my administration. I'm hoping that this lasts a lot longer than just a blip this year. I want it to continue to last. Of course, the market is out there always trying to develop whatever works in the marketplace. So I think that developers need to take their cues to not just build these super luxury apartments as though people are going to go in them. They need to build middle market that everybody can afford, that, it's aspirational for some and affordable for everybody else. And developers will start to hit that sweet spot instead of overbuilding luxury, because people are in flux with this economy. National economy is a little challenging and uncertainty with this current federal administration. So I think that if a developer wants to build something, let's build middle market and build with me a lot of affordable, and we will see this last for quite a while.
Mr. Mayor, I have no doubt in communities, and I know it especially it's true where I live in Queens, New York City. It can be very easy for voters to simply say, "Oh, just build the housing. How hard can it be?" And I'm wondering if you're able to somewhat lay out the difficulties, the headwinds, the realities of true affordable housing. What does that look like from where you're positioned?
Well, yeah, it is not easy to build affordable housing. First of all, the land costs are extremely high now because land is so valuable in the city of Atlanta, especially near high amenities where there's grocery stores, where there's great performing schools, where there's job centers. Everybody wants to live in those places. And so the land value is high. And then the cost of construction materials and labor has been going up over the past 10 years. And this year is even higher with the cost of goods and because of tariffs and shortages, et cetera. It's been more expensive to build anything because, the appliances cost more. So does the steel and concrete. So the materials and the labor has gone up. So you got higher land costs, higher construction costs. So we're in a higher than normal interest rate environment too. So all the factors from financing it to constructing it to acquiring the land. So how do we make that work? Well, for us, we've been using city-owned land to build upon. So our school system has been working with us on using old schools or old school properties. Our rapid transit authority, we're working with them. Everywhere that has Atlanta in its name, whether it's the Invest Atlanta, the Beltline, the housing, the land bank, we're taking that land and we're building on it, which then it cuts some of the cost out, 20 to 25% right off the top. And so that's how we can make things affordable. But the other thing is we're putting cash in the deal. I mean, the city of Atlanta, I did a $100 million housing opportunity bond. So when a deal is $3 million short, we kind of fill in that gap with mezzanine financing, gap financing. If it's $5 million short, we'll figure out some sort of loan or gap financing. So the city, I created with my team the Atlanta Urban Development Corporation, which is basically a city-owned development corporation so that we can do public-private partnerships with developers. They have something that that we want, which is the skill set to develop. We have something they want, which are the tools, the tax incentives, and sometimes the land. All of that makes for a great partnership. It's a gumbo to make it come out. And sometimes on a deal, we might have 8 partners, 2 banks, 3 equity partners. You'll have some vouchers from the federal government, low income housing tax credits. You'll have, cash influx from the city. All of that to make a deal go through. So when the community says, "Hey, just build more affordable housing," you're like, "Wait a minute." we we need to really look at what it goes into it. And the last thing I'll say, JD, is we've been using innovative construction materials. We're taking shipping containers. We're doing modular construction. We're constructing stuff offsite and bringing it in because it saves time, and time is money. We're using innovative techniques. We're going into old motels and converting them into apartments for those that are unsheltered. We are using every play in the playbook that we see across the world, not just across the nation.
Dickens of Atlanta, thanks a lot for being on the show to help make the case, to give us crucial updates about your city's status with regards to housing, how crucial those private-public partnerships are. You're welcome back anytime to make the case. Best of luck, and thanks for being here, Mr. Mayor.
All righty, good deal. Thank you.